Roman is the biggest bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French Toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Hey, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Less people wanted that than are currently watching our stream.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mark It Down podcast. I'm James Gisanti, and it is Thursday night, so you know what that means. We're in the Gympact Zone, where we cover all things TNA and Impact. We are on the road to Slammiversary this Saturday as we are getting ready for one of TNA's biggest events of the year, and not just one of the biggest events of the year, but one of the biggest events they've held in the last decade, with an attendance, a sold-out attendance of 4,000 fans. We are looking at a very packed house and in a very excited crowd, all in love, all ready for some TNA goodness. But before we get to Slammiversary, we are on the go-home show of Impact, where they fit in a lot. This was a go-home show and a half, as we got a lot of content, a lot of story, and a lot of preparation as we got ready for the show on Saturday. We started the night out with a 6-man tag, as we had, yes, of course, more NXT infiltration, more NXT invasion, more NXT, in my opinion, messiness, as the no quarter catch crew of Charlie Dempsey, Miles Bourne, teaming with Tavion Heights, took on the Rascals, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz, and Kushida. We were teased last week by Santino Marella that there would be somebody teaming with the Rascals who is familiar with both worlds of TNA and NXT or WWE. Kushida certainly fits that role. Kushida being a journeyman who has won gold basically everywhere, mind you, and is a former cruiserweight champion in WWE. Very familiar with how that company goes, very familiar with how things are run over there. So this was a nice little addition, and beyond the fact that this is somebody who knows how WWE works, Kushida worked surprisingly well with the Rascals. I was loving their chemistry. I was loving the dynamic of these 3 men teaming up together. As you guys know, I'm familiar with Kushida teaming up with the Motor City Machine Guns. I'm used to the Time Splitters, or the Time Machine, as the 3 of them are called. But this was a nice change of pace. It felt natural. It felt familiar. And I would love to see more of it moving forward. I would love to see these guys interacting on a more regular basis. Lots of fun action, lots of innovative offense. I know that's kind of a corny phrase nowadays, guys, but it's true. We saw some very excellent teamwork between Kushida and the Rascals. And now, yes, of course, I am hyping these guys up, but I do got to give it to No Quarter Catch crew either. They held their own. They didn't look like they were outclassed by the veteran and these 2 TNA stars. I know, I have a bias. I'm not thrilled with TNA working with the developmental brand of WWE, but this was nice. This was nice back and forth action. There was one great move that I can't even fully explain. Like, my brain can't really comprehend what it was, but there was like this split move that Kushida did with the Rascals that was just outstanding. I apologize, guys. I don't even really know how to describe it. Thank you for being here, BX, Gympact. Always love the company here in the zone. But they performed an offensive maneuver that I still can't fully grasp how they did it. There was a nice rotation. They never left the mat. It was beautifully done. Go check it out. Excellent action from these teams. The finish coming as they're preparing, as Kushida and the Rascals are preparing to put down the no quarter catch crew. Jonathan Gresham comes out, and he distracts and basically pulls Kushida from the match. As he's making his way down the ramp, Kushida meets him and chases him off. As he's fighting him off, that leaves the no quarter catch crew with an offensive advantage, 3-on-2 advantage over the Rascals. Trey Miguel got his mouth busted open, and then when Zachary Wentz goes for the neck breaker, followed by a dragon suplex from Charlie Dempsey, getting the pin. It was brutal. Wentz sold it perfectly. Just excellent showing from these 6 men. I would love to see this run again, and we're going to talk about that in a second as we go backstage. But just excellent 6-man tag. Unfortunate that, of course, there had to be shenanigans in the outcome, but I do think this protects everybody involved, with no quarter catch crew getting a big win over the established Rascals, but with the assist from Jonathan Gresham. Just beautifully done. No real notes. Go check this out, because please go check out that move that I physically can't describe to you guys. Just absolutely cool stuff. But moving on, we go backstage with a sort of like a talking. It was a fun backstage interaction between the entirety of the Rascals, as Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz are joined by Wes Lee. They're just sort of sitting together talking, and think like that 70s show where it just keeps going back and forth, like when they're in the circle in the basement, that kind of thing, where they're just going back and forth, where Miguel and Wentz aren't entirely convinced that Wesley's even there. They weren't sure if he was a hologram, if it was a clone of him, but no. Wesley is there. He's back in the Impact Zone himself, and he says it's time that they handle the no quarter catch crew once and for all. They then head off to smoke up in the treehouse, and this was fun. One, I'm very excited to see Wesley with the Rascals in TNA and not the other way around, which is how we've been seeing the Rascals. They were there this last Tuesday as well on NXT, teaming all together. That was great, but I'm loving that TNA is starting to get a little bit of that rub, and we're starting to see the talent come to this side. Moving on, we have our first knockouts match of the night, as Zaya Brookside took on Alicia Edwards, who was accompanied by Masha Slamovich, the 2 Knockouts Tag Team Champions. Happy to see Masha, just because I feel like she's not getting as much love as Alicia. Granted, Alicia is a part of a very big story, a very big group with the system. But yeah, very happy to see Masha again. Let's see. I'm sorry, I'm just checking in my notes here. Tom Hannafin had confirmed that Zaya Brookside, Giselle Shaw, Tasha Steeles, and Fabi Apache are in a 4-way knockout showdown on the Countdown to Slammiversary pre-show this Saturday. So that'll be a fun pre-show match, seeing these 4 knockouts. A little bummed that they can't get on the actual card, but they're definitely going to make me check into the pre-show, so mission accomplished. This was a fine back and forth match. I've never been the biggest Alicia Edwards fan. I don't know if it's just how I was introduced to her that I never really got too much of the appeal, but I thought she held her own here. She had some very fun offense. Definitely is great at playing the heel, and we are seeing her interacting with this Spitfire, no pun intended, we're going to talk about them in a second, in Zaya Brookside. The finish came as we saw Slamovich trying to get involved and take out Brookside on the outside, but before she could do anything, the actual Spitfire duo, the actual Spitfire Knockouts tag team of Jody Threat and Danny Luna, made the save and just took Masha out. It was like a pack of hyenas taking her out. It was beautifully done. As we get back in the ring, Zaya hits her finisher off the top rope on Alicia and getting the 1-2-3, and really giving the actual Spitfire team some momentum as they go for their Knockouts tag team titles this Saturday. So good showing. Nothing amazing, but I very much did enjoy this matchup. We then go backstage to a very good promo, a good segment with Mike Santana talking about how JDC, Johnny Dango Curtis, has forced him to release the rabid dog inside of him, and that he has been trying to keep that caged, but he is ready to let it out tonight in this match with Johnny Dango Curtis. He does. Just spoiler alert. It got brutal at certain points. We then go back to the ring as we had a segment first that set us up for the ring as we saw X Division champion Mustafa Ali in the back of a car with Campaign, almost said Champagne, Campaign Singh. And as they're being greeted by fans, and he's opening his window to them, Speedball Mike Bailey attacks him through the window as they drive off. Loving it. I'm loving seeing a more aggressive side of Speedball. I think Speedball, I've said it to you guys, is one of the best talents in TNA, if not the world. I think he is so good. He is so energetic, and he's got just something you want to root for with him. But sometimes, personality-wise, he doesn't really shine. Seeing this angrier side of him, seeing this more aggressive side of him, angry because of what happened to his partner Trent Seven last week on Impact, I'm loving it. I think it's a nice foil for the cowardly Mustafa Ali. And just the more they could develop Speedball, in my opinion, the better. This is a man who should always be holding gold in TNA as far as I'm concerned. I don't care if my bias is showing. He's that good. But back to the ring. Ali doesn't come out, but he appears on the big screen that tells Speedball that if he's going to fight him tonight, he's got to get through all of his Secret Service first. And that Mustafa then says he'll see him real soon. This brings out 4 members of Mustafa's Secret Service team, all wearing suits, all wearing sunglasses, and quite frankly, all looking terrified. I'm just going to get through it. I don't need to get into the details. Speedball made quick work of all 4 men in 4 quick, rapid-fire successive matches, pinning the first one very quickly after he got kicked. Massive super kick from Speedball, getting the immediate 1-2-3. The second one hits the ring and suffers the same fate, also getting a super kick to the face and a very quick 1-2-3. This smartened up the third one, who is hesitant to get into the ring. He decides against it, gets out of the ring, hops off the apron onto the floor, and he was getting ready to leave, only for Bailey to hit him, flying outside the ring and landing on him. We go to a commercial, and when we come back, we see Speedball has just he pinned both 3 and 4 at the same time. It was pretty brutal. It was pretty awesome. Again, loving this fiery Speedball, loving this guy who isn't holding back. This instead, after pinning the 4th member, we don't get Mustafa Ali, but we do get, of course, Campaign Singh. Who reveals that now that Speedball has pinned the 4 Secret Service agents, he has to get through him now. And shocker, he does. After a quick match and an Ultima maneuver, Speedball gets the win. And sorry, just checking my notes here. This brings out men in riot gear. As Bailey is distracted at the ramp, a man wearing riot gear comes through the crowd, hits him from behind with the baton, takes off his helmet, and of course, it is Mustafa Ali. He continues to beat Speedball down and then bullies the referee, coming into the ring and counting a 1-2-3, pinning Speedball. He gloats afterwards, and then they go to another commercial. When we come back, Mustafa is backstage with his Secret Service crew, gloating some more, saying how he beat Speedball. He claims that because of this win, his title defense against Speedball on Saturday is no longer taking place. Santino Marella, who has been on fire these last few weeks, not like he's always the good guy, but he's an angry good guy right now, and I'm digging it. He warns Ali never to put his hands on Official again before telling him that the title defense against Speedball at Slammiversary is still on and will go as planned. Excellent work here. Great segment. Great way to build heat for Mustafa. He is really, really just living this role. He is making it his own. He's doing so good with it. Everybody is playing their part here, from Mustafa to Speedball to Campaign Singh to Trent Seven, and thankfully the nice little cherry on top from Santino Marella. I'm very much looking forward to this match on Saturday. I think Mustafa versus Speedball has all the potential to be match of the night if they get the time to do it. So let's see on Saturday, guys, but it's looking good. We then go to our title match of the night, our much anticipated return after 7 years. The Hardy Boys teaming up in TNA, going for the TNA World Tag Team Championship against Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards. Gotta love those System boys. The System are out. The Hardys come out to their Hardy Boy music, like the dance music, the one that they get in every company, which is always awesome. I don't care. But they're wearing their broken gear. I don't really know how I feel about that. I know we're at a stage with them in their career that we know who they are. We know it's probably always going to be some level of an amalgam of all of their popular stuff. But I don't know. Jeff was wearing his long overcoat, and then when he took it off, he's wearing the regular tank top. So I'm not sure really how I feel with this, with the look, I should say. I don't really know how I feel about the look, but I can tell you with all the certainty in the world, I don't care. I'm just happy the Hardys are together again. I really hope a tag team title run is in their future. Sorry if I'm spoiling the finish there, but we get to the matchup, and Matt starts things off against Brian Myers. They lock up. Myers muscles Hardy into the corner, and then he gives him the clean break, but then pushes him because he's a dastardly heel. He's just a mustache twirling heel because he's part of the System. Matt fights back and takes Meyer to his corner where he's working on his arm, and then he tags in Jeff. Jeff heads to the top rope, and the crowd was just super into him. I know Jeff is always going to have his detractors, rightfully so, given all of the issues he has in real life, all of the real life demons that Jeff has often allowed to take control. But when he steps in a ring, the crowds love it. As long as he can go, and they look good. I got to tell you guys, I know there was a lot of criticism with the Hardys and how they were looking at the tail end of their AEW run. And quite frankly, some of it was justified. But since Matt's been in TNA, his body looks rejuvenated. He looks like he can move in a way we haven't seen in a while. And Jeff didn't look that far off tonight. Jeff looked pretty damn good to himself. So just happy to see these guys going at it. And I'm just going to keep saying how happy I am. Jeff basically picks up where Matt left off, taking it to both Brian and Eddie. He then sends both men to the floor as they retreat. And as they regroup, Myers then hits Jeff with a big shot upon coming back to the ring. He backs Hardy into the corner, tagged Eddie back in, and then Eddie works over Jeff in the corner for a few seconds. He then tags Myers right back. Lots of rapid fire tags to stay fresh, to stay in charge, to stay on top of things. The crowd, of course, giving them all the heat that they want. Finally, after a few moments of just nothing happening, but just sort of pacing that could have sped up, Matt finally comes in with the hot tag. I don't ever really remember Matt being the hot tag guy, but here it works out. The crowd was super into it. The Hardys finally taking control again. He works over Myers in the ring, and then Eddie takes out Jeff with a cheap shot to the floor. He then goes to the ring where he hits where he and Myers hit Matt with a big double team move. This 2-on-1 helps the System get back into offensive control, and as they're working Matt over, we go back to another commercial break. Love seeing these commercial breaks in the match just because we're seeing these matches actually take time. Last week, that was one of my big complaints, guys. I wasn't thrilled that it felt like so much of the action was happening so quickly. There was only one match that even touched double digits. Everything else was very quickly paced. Tonight, a lot of these matches had time to breathe. So commercial breaks, I'll take them. Jeff finally tags in. He has a ton of energy. He hits a whisper in the wind onto Myers that just looked absolutely brutal, but beautiful. He then goes for the cover, but Eddie is able to break it up. He hits a quick twist of fate onto Eddie, and then that sets up Matt to hit a twist of fate onto Eddie, finally putting him down. Jeff goes for the Swanton Bomb, but out comes sprinting Johnny Dango Curtis, JDC. He hits the ring and knocks Jeff over, sending him crashing, burning to the floor, and we get a DQ. So the Hardys win their first tag team match in TNA in 7 years, but they do not take home the gold. The system continues to beat down Matt in the ring. JDC puts Jeff's head through a steel folding chair, and like the little crack of it all, and then they force him throat first into the metal corner of the ring, the steel post. They do this a second time, all while forcing Matt to watch, keeping him grounded and keeping him incapacitated as his little brother is decimated. Jeff is then loaded onto a gurney, onto a stretcher, and they take him to an ambulance. Matt is accompanying his brother to the ambulance when he is stopped by Tommy Dreamer, who tells him Rebby's been hurt. Matt goes to run to check on Rebby, who is on the ground in pain, loudly stating it was JDC who attacked her. We then get as this is happening, the Mike Santana match against JDC has already started. I felt kind of bad for how they handled this. I felt kind of bad for how they treated this. Oh, we got a comment here from on T6 Soldier. Hello, welcome to the Gym Pack Zone. Welcome to the Market Down podcast. I hope you liked tonight's episode of TNA, and I hope you're digging us here, man. Thank you for being here. Let me know. What did you think of the show tonight? What did you think? What was your favorite segment from Impact? And are you excited for Slammiversary? But the match is going on, and it's getting pretty vicious. Sorry, just checking my notes. JDC bit at the bandaged head of Mike Santana, trying to attack him with a steel chair onto the floor. Santana's head it was bandaged because of another in-match attack by JDC when he assaulted Santana during his Road to Slammiversary qualifier match on Impact a couple of weeks ago. Love that they're still selling it, even though it has been a couple of weeks. I don't know why you'd still be bandaged, but hey, storytelling. We're here for it. Back in the ring, Santana starts to show signs of life. He begins fighting back, and he hits a big Death Valley driver for just the two. Nothing past it. Santana looks for the spin the block, but JDC is able to avoid it and hit a big slam of his own. Again, only getting the 2 count. At this point, both men are busted open. Both men are bleeding, and JDC from his nose. JDC hits then a big spot off the middle rope for another 2 count. Again, lots of 2 counts here. Back on the floor, JDC charges at Santana with a chair. Santana is able to dodge it and send JDC into the ring post. Santana then grabbed the chair that JDC tried to use on him. He raises it, and then in front of the referee begins to just absolutely destroy JDC. This calls for the bell because this wasn't an ODQ match. Neither man just had the opportunity to actually get the cheating off the ground. I thought that was kind of funny. So he's just absolutely destroying JDC with the chair. It doesn't matter that the bell rang, doesn't matter that he lost, just decimating him. He then hits the spin the block finisher, and he leaves JDC laid out on the floor. And nice. I am all for. I've said it to you guys since he debuted in TNA or re-debuted in TNA. I'm rooting for Mike Santana. I am rooting for the House of Glory World Champion. I never liked how he left AEW. I never liked how he left his tag team partnership with Ortiz. But all that said, I'd be lying if I said that I didn't think this guy has something that he could go off on his own. So let's see how it's going. So far, so good. This edge to him is really cool. I like that he's got this dog in him that he has to let out. And he certainly let it out on JDC. He was rabid in his attack. So good stuff from these two guys. JDC definitely, I said this again last week as well. JDC way more comfortable, way more watchable in this role with the system than he ever was in his TNA run, outside of when he was a lovable babyface sidekick to Santino. This is the best heel work that he's done since that departure from Santino. So great work by both men. Great work by Johnny Dango Curtis. We then go to an interview segment between Tom Hannafin, who sits one-on-one with the Knockouts world champion, Jordan Grace. You guys know I've been a big fan of these Tom Hannafin interviews. Tom just absolutely bringing the best out of everybody he interviews. Really, these are great segments to help people get over. Not that Jordan Grace needs to get over. She is the most over knockout in the company. Obviously, not just because of how good she is and how respected she is and everything she's done for TNA, but also because of her now connection to WWE and NXT, something that they talk about quite a bit in this interview. And I won't lie to you guys, it's highlighting a lot of the problems I'm having with this connection between the two companies. They start off the conversation by talking about her upcoming defense at Slammiversary against Ash by Elegance. She talked about winning the title from Trinity, from Naomi in WWE, and being on the run of her life since then. And she really has been dominant since then. Of course, they talk about January, her Royal Rumble appearance for WWE. And of course, that moves on to her appearances in NXT. She talked about how the Royal Rumble appearance was meant to be a surprise, but of course, certain things always get leaked. And some of us did know Jordan was going to be in it before she actually did appear. But nobody knew she was going to show up in NXT. It was a complete surprise, and she loved it. She still is upset that she had the chance to become the first person to hold simultaneously TNA and NXT titles. And that dream might not be dead, but she is upset with Jordan Grace for costing her her first shot at it. She talks about, and this is where I start to have an issue. She talks about how much she loves TNA. She talks about how much she loves everything that TNA has done for her. She talks about the fans, and she talks about being well-known, being well-liked in TNA. But it's always been a dream of hers to reach a larger audience, and that's something WWE can do for her. It's always been a dream of hers to get to where she is now. Now, guys, I'm not an idiot. I'm not a jabroni. I know how this goes. WWE is the bigger dog than TNA. It always will be the number one dog, or for the very foreseeable future, for a very long time, WWE is going to be number one. And that's okay. But I don't want TNA stars, I don't want TNA champions to be presented as, well, I'm big here, I'm a big fish in this little pond, but in WWE, wow, that's the big leagues. That's where I could reach more people. That's what I'm working for. No, not on camera. On camera, I want you guys to say, we here in TNA are just as good as anything WWE has to offer. We're just as good as any talent in WWE. And yes, I'm happy to be working with WWE, but I love TNA, and this is the big leagues too. That's what I want to hear from these people. I'm not mad at Jordan Grace for her promo. Not at all. Not at all. I get what she was saying. She is absolutely appearing on a larger scale, on a larger platform than she's ever had the opportunity to do so before. But it doesn't matter. She is the TNA Knockouts champion. She was instrumental in helping carry this amazing division, this incredible Knockouts division for the last several years. That is a huge accomplishment, and I don't want it to seem lesser because it's TNA and not WWE. So, again, no shade on Jordan Grace, who I adore. She's one of the best. But, no, I'm not thrilled with this notion. I'm just not. So, we'll see. We'll see, and it's kind of a bummer. kind of a bummer. Just the relationship. I'm very much looking forward to Jordan Grace versus Ash by Elegance this Saturday at Slammiversary. But after that wrapped up, we then go to Ash by Elegance personal concierge, who's on the phone with Ash by Elegance. She's telling him how she had gotten her manicure and pedicure appointments. He's telling her that she had gotten all her appointments set up for when she's in Montreal. All while this is happening, though, Rosemary is behind him, just sort of making weird faces and quietly taunting him. By the time he catches wind and turns around, she's gone. But I don't know what to make of this with Rosemary. I assume this was going to get her closer to the Knockouts title, but it's not even getting her closer to Ash by Elegance. It's just getting her closer to the concierge, who she chased off a couple of weeks ago. So, okay. That took a turn. I'm here for it. Sure. Anything different for Rosemary that doesn't involve going for the Knockouts tag team titles, I'm here for it. And look, again, I know, and they talked about it before, that Ash by Elegance was the one who took out Jessica Havoc. Havoc hasn't been seen since Ash by Elegance put her down. But if that's the direction they're going, they're not really highlighting it. This, again, to me, feels more about the concierge than it does about Ash by Elegance. And maybe that's because Ash isn't on TV every week and the concierge is there in her place. But there had to have been a better way to convey that. But we'll see. Again, it's not the Knockouts tag team titles, so I'm cool. We then go to our main event segment, the contract signing for TNA Slammiversary's main event, the six-man TNA World Championship match. In that match and at this contract signing, of course, we have World Champion Moose, the man we all believe in, Joe Hendry. I'm just sad. With every day he gets more popular, the reality of this joke having a payoff for you guys just gets weaker and weaker. But Moose, Joe Hendry, Frankie Kazarian, Steve Macklin, and Josh Alexander. The only man absent from this match, from this segment, this contract signing, is Nick Nemeth, who is supposed to be in the match. Santino sets the stage, and then he introduces Nick Nemeth on screen. Nemeth apologizes, revealing that he has a partially torn labrum as a result of his brawl against Frankie Kazarian. He says, though, he will be at Slammiversary, and in 2 days' time, he will be medically cleared to compete in the matchup. I don't know why Nemeth hasn't appeared on TV more than he has. It's kind of a bummer. But hey, at least he's a presence, and he will deliver at the pay-per-view. And maybe this may feed into a heel turn, something that I think a lot of us are clamoring for. But what do I know? I'm not a Marines biologist. I'm just a mark. But Nemeth vows he will leave Montreal as the new TNA World Champion. And then Santino gives everybody a pen to sign the contract and reminds them he wants no shenanigans or malarkey. Everybody does their signing. Frankie Kazarian makes a whole show of it. Santino tells them they don't have all night. And then he finally signs and hands it to Hendry. But before Hendry can grab it, Moose yanks it out of his hand, tells him he's the champion. He signs first. At best, you're fourth here. I don't know what that was. But at best, he was fourth. He does it, slams it back down, and then Santino tells him to take it easy. Before Hendry can sign it, we are interrupted once again, but this time by the digital media champion, AJ Francis, who is accompanied by his homie, Rich Swann. Francis just keeps going and going on the microphone, really hitting all the popular heel beats, really aggravating the crowd, and I'm all for it. Good for him. The guy is really finding himself in this heel character, and it's fun to see. He gets in the ring, not before saying that Luthez ain't got nothing on him. He then says he respects everybody in the ring except for Joe Hendry. He then tells them they all need to shake his hand because he's the only double champion in the ring. and they all have to look him in the eyes and say, "Thank you for the house." I won't lie to you guys. I love this heel work from Francis. I think it's great. I think it's really fitting for his character, and it shows how pompous he is. It shows how arrogant he is. In no world do I think any of the guys, except for maybe Frankie Kazarian, just because he don't want the heat, would allow this to have happened. Hendry has a history with Francis. Moose isn't going to let anyone step up to him. Josh Alexander, too much of a fighting babyface, and Steve Macklin is just too damn angry. So weird that they all let him get away with it, but it doesn't matter because somebody else took care of it for him. As out crawling from under the ring was the French-Canadian Frankenstein himself, PCO. PCO gets in the ring, throws Francis out of the ring, drops Rich Swann, hits a tope suicida through the ropes, and knocks down Francis. Of course, this then leads to every member of the main event getting into a brawl. Moose is about to powerbomb Hendry through the table, but he's interrupted by Josh Alexander, allowing Hendry to get the chance to hit the standing ovation, massively putting Moose through the table. He then stares off against Alexander, signs the contract against the table, and we have our main event for TNA Slammiversary. Guys, I am really, really hyped for this pay-per-view. I am really, really hyped for this main event. I think we're going to... I don't know how many title changes we're going to get. I'm not expecting many. I think the system may be the only team that loses gold. Maybe the ABC is able to get past them because Matt Hardy wants revenge. I'm not entirely sure. I think Jordan Grace retains against Ash by Elegance and maybe loses at Bound for Glory. And I really think Moose retains against in this multi-man match. Joe Hendry winning the title at Bound for Glory just makes sense. It just does. It's their biggest event. Have your biggest upcoming guy win your championship there. It might feel like a little bit of a drag just because of how over we all are with Hendry right now. But no, hold off. It's going to be worth it. Hold off one more pay-per-view. It's going to be worth it. Speedball, I take back what I said about the system. Speedball might have a good chance at taking the X Division Championship from Mustafa Ali. It's going to suck because Mustafa is just on a roll right now, roll of a lifetime. But give it to the babyface. Give it to the babyface and then figure out something else to do with Mustafa, who, quite frankly, I don't think is under contract with TNA right now. I think he's just working with them, which has been awesome. But Speedball is your guy. Speedball is absolutely your guy. But everybody, this was the Gym Pack Zone here at the Mark It Down podcast. I appreciate you all being here with me tonight. I appreciate all the love. You guys know the deal. There's a lot more of you today than there were even yesterday, and there's way more than that from like a month ago. You guys have really been blowing the doors off the hinges. We appreciate all the support. We are figuring out ways to say thank you, and I promise fun stuff is coming. And if you want to be involved in that, please subscribe. We appreciate it. The more of you there are, the more we could do with you guys, the more we could cover, and the more we could all hang out, no matter the day of the week, whether it's Monday Night Raw, Tuesday Night NXT, Wednesday Night Dynamite, Thursday Night Impact, Friday Night SmackDown, or these good old weekend pay-per-views. We're going to do our best to be with you every night that we can. If you're already with us, thank you for sticking with us. You should know because we say it all the time, but I'll say it again. Thank you for being loyal followers. And of course, please hit that like button. Let everybody at the Mark It Down podcast know that I'm doing something right and that you guys like me. You really like me. And on top of that, of course, follow us on all of our social media. Check us out on Facebook. Follow us on X, even though we're having trouble going there live lately. We are trying to figure that out for you guys, but bear with us. It's probably going to come pretty soon. Follow us on Instagram, and and of course, follow us on TikTok. But guys, I am James Gisanti. This is the Mark It Down podcast, and this is the Gym Pack Zone. As always, watch TNA. As always, watch wrestling. Have a good night, guys.